On this episode of Blending Bourbon, Dixon and I discuss the next few releases of 2XO and beyond.
Blending Bourbon is the podcast that takes you beyond the barrel and behind the scenes of the whiskey industry with master blenders Dixon Dedman and David Mark Young.
Welcome back to another episode of Blending Bourbon. Dixon Dedman of 2XO Whiskey, joined by my cohort, co-host, founder, master blender of Golden Sheaf, and the only guy I know whose high school graduating class voted him most likely to work at a county fair, Mr. David Mark Young. Good morning.
Dixon Dedman. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Good. Myerden is with us as well.
Yeah,
always.
I'm a bit tardy, so I don't get a special intro. So
That's okay. Yeah, we're all here. It's great.
We're here. We had a special guest lined up who decided that Monday morning was a little too early for the video portion of the podcast, so we're gonna have to wait and schedule that another time. So it's just us today again.
Just us. Yeah. Gonna have to settle this time, but I'm pretty excited. I think we've got some really interesting things to talk about. It's a lot of great stuff going on. A lot of balls in the air.
So tell me, did all of your you get all your bottling finished up and all that's done and ready to roll?
Yeah, everything's bottled. Everything's ready to go. So we're launching in multiple states, and with scaling, growing, there are a lot of lessons to be learned, and so we're learning some of this as we go, which is all great. We're doing another rollout, a previous rollout here locally, which will be interesting. We'll get that product out in the market. Just started this past weekend, and then we'll bring up everything from Bardstown and get it out there as well. But yeah, it's flowing like bourbon. It's pretty exciting, pretty steady. But the more we scale, the more plates we've got to keep spinning. It's great. I love it.
Fair, yeah. Funny, you said we were talking about what we were going to discuss today, and you're like, let's talk about 2XO and whatever, and I was like, and I literally, I don't want to say I lost it, but I went on a text rant with part of my team late-ish last night over some of this stuff that's going on. I'm super excited about, right now we're bottling, as we talked about, both the Tribute blend, which is the blend that has my family crest on it. I cannot wait. I think this blend is this great profile, almost like composite of the things I liked about Phoenix and the things I like about Innkeepers, and it kind of comes together in this kind of viscous, thick mouthfeel with a little more spice than was on the Phoenix. It's it lands a little heavier, and that's really going to be fun. We're bottling those in our operation. Those get bottled, go to a fulfillment center in Pennsylvania.
That's right.
So we'll ship all of those products to Pennsylvania, and then the distributors around the country will order, and we ship from there. So it's probably a late August, early September launch, and then this is the one that we talked about the other day.
Yeah.
This American Oak, and it's cool. I wanted to show you.
Beautiful bottle, by the way.
Looks like, for those who watch,
Oak
these
chains.
8 to 10 foot chains of charred oak that were inserted in all of those barrels for about 8 to 9 months, and thus the American oak version. And it's really cool, but also been very interesting because, as we've talked about before, we have a relationship, or a parent company has a relationship. So we kind of have a bit of an under the table bottling arrangement, and it's been very interesting to be at that facility and I'm not at liberty to disclose the location, but I don't think they understood that, one, the brand was recognizable, and two, that because I guess I'm just kind of a tall, skinny, goofy looking dude, also slightly recognizable. And so, but in both the dumping of barrels and bottling, keep getting all of these comments on social media and all this stuff like, well, wait a minute, I saw this there. Right. What's going on? And they're kind of posting pictures and everything. And I was even dumping barrels, and a tour guide, was bringing people through, and he's like, well, then this is Dixon Deadman, and they must be working. And I was like, no. I got to the point where when the tour, when the people would come through, they'd be like, you need to just step into the office over there. Just kind of walk out of the way.
Yeah. Or put a little mustache on or something. Hey, I get questions about it. People ask me if, and I'm just like, I have no idea.
Well, I mean, it's awesome. It's super cool. And
super
it's,
cool.
It goes back to that conversation about, disclosure. It's like, look, as far as I'm concerned, I'd put everything on the table that we could put on the table. But, there are arrangements and NDAs and things signed and all that stuff. And they didn't ask me. So,
right.
I'm at liberty to say what I can say. And, usually after about the third drink or something like that, I get a little more loose lipped than I probably should be. But, that's been kind of funny over the last little bit, which leads me to, what really set me off. And I don't know if you have an issue with this. I mean, when you were doing all your stuff in Omaha, and you had a co-packer that was bottling stuff for you. Did they do all the application stuff, or did you handle all the TTB, cola, like all of that red tape stuff? They handle all that, or did you do that? Or
they did, yeah. That was part of the service.
And now, who does that for you?
So, little of both. Now that I have my own DSP, anything I do, purchase-wise, co-pack-wise, production-wise, we do. So we've got our own compliance arm that we're outfitting, and then but Bardstown. So all of the product that comes out of Bardstown, I just pay them for taxes. They do all the they take care of all that.
And I think a lot of times people don't 100%. I don't even know that I understand how it works, but essentially
it's a lot. It's a lot.
You set up. No, in any of these instances, unless the facility is bottling their own product, if you are bottling at BBC, for example, you like Golden Sheaf has essentially a DBA, right, with Bardstown Bourbon Company, so they. You have them, they apply for your TTB label approval and that type of stuff. And so they have a DBA to bottle produce your product for you.
Right.
You set it all up, you tell them what you want the label to look like, and they do that. And I guess this is, what I'm kind of getting in a roundabout way to is I love the interest in American whiskey, and I love that there's, I think that's what helps your brand. I think that's what helps my brand. I think that's what, is this insatiable thirst for information, to be kind of the first to know, about what's happening, something new, something interesting, something. And I did this. I remember having this conversation in my Stoli days, and it was like, guys, this is not like vodka. This is not like, people don't care about a new flavor of vodka coming out, or a new, whatever. But when you apply for label approval and receive it, that becomes public information, right. And it's posted on a site, on the TTB, or I don't know what it is, that site. But
yeah,
there are people who refresh that site every 15 minutes to be, in the know about what is the next thing to come out. And there was a time during COVID where, everything was so slow and everything took so long. But now, they turn around these approvals in days.
Right.
It's just, it goes to somebody's desk. They say, yep, this checks all the boxes, Surgeon General warning, barcode, this proof, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Check, done, goes out. And it's in the public domain. It's there. And it was really funny is, working towards this launch of both the American Oak and the Tribute Blend, planning for this launch. I have a ridiculous travel schedule coming up, which is going to be a ton of fun. The media kits, the media mailers, the samples you send out,
right.
All of that stuff. And we're like, working very hard to in addition to the Gem of Kentucky that's coming in a month or so. That's the focus. Like, all the focus is on that. Well, over, last week, unbeknownst to me and some of our team, they went ahead and applied for and got approval for the next two, the next iteration of the Icon series and the French Oak version of the Oak series, which will not be out until probably March and April of 2024. And it's, I'm just like, okay, I pull up Instagram and I've got 25 direct messages, people saying, can I get a sample of the Kiowa blend?
Right.
Can I, when will you be down here to launch the Kiowa blend? We're so excited about the Kiowa blend. French Oak is going to be phenomenal. I think that's great. On and on and on. And I'm sitting here like, I've got 3 things that are going to come into market before.
Right.
I haven't even finished bottling American Oak or the Tribute Blend, and I've got people asking for, and it's confusing, right? You're just confusing people. I mean, it's nuts that,
right.
That was, and I was like, wow, do we not understand the timing of this thing? Like, was there any, can we get one thing out there before we start, it's just confusing to
right. Well,
everybody.
Good for your team for getting ahead of those compliance.
Oh, they're ahead of it. Yeah, they're
getting out there. We had Jacob from Coming Whiskey, on Instagram and Facebook. We had him on that tasting with the influencers that we did a month, 2 months ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's the guy behind that. It's pretty cool. It's a niche little thing. And it's almost part of the process. You go, there's the whole creative process, and then you publish or get your labels submitted, and for COLA approval, and then it shows up on Instagram, and
and I don't fault Jacob. I don't fault
Right,
you know,
right.
I just like, okay, you know, on our side, it's like, I keep saying, I was like, I don't think you understand how this works.
Right.
Like, you know, we don't need that approval right now.
Right,
And, you know, but as soon as you do it, you know, the toothpaste is out of the tube.
Yeah.
And which is not a bad thing, other than it confuses the consumer.
Right.
You know, this thing comes out and everybody's looking for French oak and the Kiowa blend, and I haven't even launched American oak
Right.
and the Tribute blend.
Hey man, you're building demand. It's like the whiskey
I feel like we're
paparazzi.
going to start planning my 50th birthday party 8 years in advance or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
So during COVID, was there a 6-7 month compliance turnaround for labeling?
I don't know that it was that long, but it was long enough.
Yeah, okay.
But it still, and I love, you know, I'm work in a machine. Like, it's a big company and there's a lot of people, and you know, everybody has their boxes they have to check. Everybody has their I's they have to dot, T's they have to cross, and which is totally fair. I mean, I prefer that over having to sit there and be like, guys, what is the holdup? Why haven't we done this? You know, but it was just unbelievable, you know, to kind of start to talk about these new things we're releasing, and you know, I mean, my team we have a photo shoot in like 2 weeks to get like bottle shots and lifestyle shots so that we can you know, they can start crafting all the, you know, the social around innkeepers and American oak, and hell, we're talking about the things that we're doing next spring. You know, it's kind of nuts.
And then you still have the when's the Gem of Kentucky come out? That's the
It'll
third
probably
one.
be October.
Okay, yeah. So
You know,
so-
but that got approval in like February, and we had people that were just like, I can't wait. You know, is that coming soon? It's like, no, it's not. It's not. You know, it's just,
Well, yeah. There's, you know, you look at it from the consumer vantage point, and they're excited, man. I mean,
I
know
love
you don't
that.
have insight to, at least, you know, outside of the admin piece of social media for the Blending Bourbon podcast, but man, it's you blew up the internet this last weekend with
yeah, well, I was like, because I was just like, because we normally record on Thursdays,
Right.
and I'm just like, I'm looking at my feed, I'm like, we were just literally talking about Dixon's new releases, and none of these. I was because I was trying to pronounce Kiowa, and was just like, because I'm used to the Kiowa Indian tribe, like it's pronounced Kiowa around here, similar spelling but a little different. So I'm like, then French oak, there was no mention in that in the last episode. I'm just like, what? So it was just as surprising, but well. That's the reason why, folks, is just compliance a little early.
yeah. I mean, I feel like a spoiled brat now, kind of, you know, complaining about it's.
I don't
it's
think
just
you're
so
complaining. It's an
just so
observation.
funny. It's just like, I mean, I cannot tell you how many like. When can I get a sample of the Kiowa blend? When
Right.
you know, when will that be available for media, for the, you know? And I was like, I haven't even thought about what's going into that yet.
I was gonna say,
I haven't even.
Yeah.
You've
I
been
haven't
busy,
even-
haven't you?
I haven't even pulled samples to think about that blend. I won't start on that blend until January.
Right. Well, yeah. So I just pulled up some of the analytics, and man, that those two, the Kiowa blend and the Oak Series, you know, they showed up 22 hours ago, 2 days ago on Instagram. They just blew up. I mean, thousands, tens of thousands of views and comments, all the things. But that's cool. That's cool. You know, I mean, it's indicative of, you know, all the the hard work that you've put in the past, and then people are excited. I mean, Dixon Deadman's back. Like you're firmly here. You have planted your flag, and you are back in action, which is pretty cool. I mean, I get it. Things are a little bit out of order, and that'll all streamline a little bit. But it's like Star Wars trailers. They put the previews out like 3 years in advance, and but that's demand. People are getting hyped about it, and they know what to look forward to, and so that's got to be exciting. I mean, I don't know.
No, I mean, it's the fact that people are excited about it, that it becomes, that it's, for lack of a better term, newsworthy or something that people are excited. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it is incredible.
Right.
But the challenge sometimes is like, you want kind of like this clear message of what's, of the timeline. This is what we're doing right now. Like, we will talk about that. I promise. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Stay focused. Well, that's where you pull the can neither confirm nor deny line and talk about what's happening today right now.
I mean, they're not. They're happening. It's real.
Right.
It is happening. But it's kind of like, I really want you to look over here first.
Yeah.
Like, let me get the.
Wait, I'm not done.
Yeah, like because of how fast it was put out there, I was just like, I was like looking at it. I'm like, is he doing a bit? Like, what is going on? Like,
Rapid fire.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
Well, it's also funny. It's like, what's the handle that does like the April Fools when he does all the crazy, fictional releases.
I mean, those there's Disney always does that. There's all sorts of
no, there's an Instagram guy that makes up all these
whiskey labels.
Yeah. Like I don't know. One time he is like around the 'cause I think he does it in around April Fools, but he did like a Kentucky owl to celebrate the World Cup in Qatar, and it was like an owl with a turban on. It's like
Puppy Van Winkle.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
Oh, I gotta find it. It's really funny.
I swear I live in a cave, but you introduced me to all the cool things. I mean, we're just now getting through the last bits of Ted Lasso.
The one you have to watch after that. Did I tell you have to watch The Bear?
No.
Oh, The Bear.
Enlighten me.
Oh, there's 2 seasons of it, and it's fantastic.
I'm not interested unless it's life altering like Ted Lasso.
Yeah, no, it is. It actually, what it will do is it'll make you want to start like cooking at home, and like really it's like Ted Lasso in that. You just always have those people that were like, I'm not watching Ted Lasso because I don't care about soccer.
Right.
And it's like, well, you don't have to care anything about soccer to enjoy Ted Lasso. Right. And The Bear is kind of like, it's a restaurant, it's a chef and kind of opening and running restaurants. And it's all the drama that takes place in a restaurant. You don't have to know how to cook or care about, but if it will make you want to start, doing something other than a ham and cheese sandwich.
Wow. Okay.
But it's a great, you'll like it.
I'm intrigued. I'm definitely intrigued. You're like the hardest working guy I know. How the hell do you make time to watch
Airplanes?
Okay. Well, I'm even working on the damn airplane, and I'm traveling
I can't
more.
Work
lately,
on the
so.
airplane. I just get on the airplane and turn something. I can't do it.
Well, we also have a different type of work. I mean, your hard work is showing up for photo shoots and looking pretty and blending whiskey. And I'm just kidding. I'm the one doing all the compliance stuff.
Well, if that was up to
joking.
me, it would never get done. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, I feel like that's all I do is paperwork anymore. which is, part of growing a business, right? Like you wear all the hats until you don't have to. And, but yeah, so we bring
that comes with the scalability as then, cause you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's, but then if you hire some guy that's crossing the I's and dotting the T's, you're like, whoa, what's going on here?
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's and it's cool. I mean, it's a total evolution. I'm grateful that we're at the point now where we can offload things, outsource some things, bring on additional resources, just, interviewing people down in Kentucky to be part of our team to be able to, so I don't have to travel to Kentucky all the time to sell a bottle of bourbon. Which isn't the worst thing in the world. No,
but I will say, there are times where, when we had the inn and we were doing that, and it was just like tedium, like the tedium of like locking myself in a room and making myself pay the monthly bills and go through all that stuff, and like I hated it. And part of that is my ADHD or whatever, and
yeah.
But sometimes now I'm like I need that, like, I don't want to say mindless, but it's just like I gotta run around, and then I've got a distributor group from New Jersey coming to my office later, and yes, is it terrible that I've just basically got people that my job is either to blend whiskey or drink whiskey with people? It's not terrible.
Right. I know.
But there's also sometimes you're just like, I could use just I'm just gonna go mow the grass at 7:20 in the morning, like Myron's neighbor.
Like Myron's neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah. See who I can piss off for the day.
Well, I'm pretty sure I knew who the guy is, because I walked as I was driving on my way in. I'm just like, there's this guy just sitting back drinking a looked like a lemonade, just like sweating profusely on his front porch, and just like looking around all gratified, and I'm just like.
And then you like roll down the window and you're like, you missed a spot, asshole. And
get that weed eater out. That whole drinking whiskey and talking to people thing. It's I didn't realize how much of the job is. It's you're still working, right? You're still talking. I mean, I repeat myself all the time, telling the stories, but they're at various elevations as far as the storyline, depending on who you're talking with. And this last weekend I had sent you, I think, a little video. I found myself sitting down with Randy Goodwin, who's he's pretty popular movie star, TV star. So we're just sitting. So what started out as kind of some, sampling, talking of, collaboration things, turned into 5-6 hours of smoking cigars and drinking whiskey. And I'm like, I've been working all day.
Yeah, no, we had there was a party at my in-laws this weekend, and, and family friends and friends of their family, and, and my wife's family is very close, very, very close. And, they're all funny because they're like, they don't care. I mean, they're super supportive. But, and they want, I always bring bottles of 2XO or whatever, and they think it's great and they taste it. But, like it's going to sound awful, but like, I'm just, I'm just the brother-in-law and that's my job. It's right. Like I got another brother-in-law that's a surgeon. We all don't sit there and ask him about who he cut on this week and stuff like that. But
Did you bring any samples?
yeah, we go, we all these, it's family there, and then all these, these friends and everything, and it was one after the other of people. So tell me about this. Now, what's this one? Now, what's the plan with this one? What's the price point? What's the, tell me what's the project? What do you do? And I got to the point, I just, I like went, a couple of my brother-in-laws were, and it's just like, I am not here to do the 2XO sales pitch. I'm not standing here as if I'm pouring samples and talking, it's like, I'm going over here to talk about baseball, I don't
Surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something other than whiskey.
Yeah, so there's like the long storytelling. I'm at a tasting kind of like version of the story and whatnot. The more than likely, right? And then there's the I got 30 seconds to say something real quick, and it's like then you're like, wait, did I hit all the points that I meant to hit, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because you can give that, wave top, like, okay, it's bourbon, it's 110 proof, try it. What do you think? Depending on, how late in the engagement, or how, if Bob, who's comparing your stuff to apple flavored Canadian whiskey,
right,
that it's, and he's a connoisseur of caramel or orange flavored whiskeys, and he's, comparing your stuff to that, then you're not as interested as given the in-depth overview.
That's one of the
technical
conversations.
perspective.
This guy, great, family friend. He comes up and he's like, tell me about this. Tell me about this stuff. And I was like, well, Jimmy, it's my newest tribute blend. Is a small blend, blah 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 blah. And he was like, well, I can give me some of it. I can't wait. And he was like, I've really been into this Basil Hayden's lately. He's like, I love this Basil Hayden's, but it's hot. It's really hot. I got to cut it with some water on some ice. He's like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jimmy, that's 80 proof. So I have
a
no
little
idea what you're going to do with this 104 proof bourbon that I'm about to pour you, but I can already tell that, you just see it coming, and there's the sip, and there's it's good. I like it a lot. It's really good. It's just
I'm dying.
strong. It's strong.
It burns.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had a guy come up, he came over, we were at this event. Well, you were there, Martin, and he came over several times, and I could tell they were kind of watching from afar. They come up and they'd get a sample and ask a question or two, and then go back and sit down. But then he came up at the end of the night when it had cleared out, and he walks right up and he says, "Have you ever considered a lower proof?" I said, "Absolutely, yeah, all the time." And I said, "Let me tell you about my process here and how I arrive at what proof each batch is." And he's like, "Yeah, well, you'll get more bottles if you do a lower proof, and then also, you won't chase away the people that are offended by higher proof whiskey." And I'm like, "No, that's a great point. I appreciate that. That's a great perspective." I do.
Well, I mean, I always try to very politely say, if you don't like it at that proof,
yeah,
you can put it at whatever proof. You can go down to whatever proof you enjoy it. I always try to put these blends together at the sweet spot that I find, that I think it shows itself in its best light. But I'm not offended at all when somebody says, "I love this, but I cut it with a little bit of water and I pour it over an ice cube." And I've, they're like, I have found that is, that's really my, and I think that's, when I did Kentucky Owl, I mean, that was all the time.
Yeah.
We would pour these, I'd pour 120 something proof bourbon for, and it was always like, is it okay if I add a little water to it? And it's like, absolutely. It is, do take it wherever you want to go with it.
Right.
And I never take that as a negative that,
Right.
that somebody's saying, hey, it's yours.
Yeah.
You should absolutely. Now, the flip side of that is I never wanted to open up. Especially, it was really important with Kentucky Owl. I never wanted, to open up that door for the criticism that, oh, you're cutting it down to 86 proof so you can fill more bottles, sell more cases, make more money. I that was a big part of our narrative in the beginning, was that it's at barrel proof. We're not, it's I'm finding the blend at barrel proof, and we're you can't hide anything in whiskey at barrel proof, and it's not about maximizing the profitability
Right.
of the product, because if we were going to do that, we'd bottle it at 80.
Right.
But 100 and I don't care to drink 120 something proof bourbon any. I mean, not that I don't, but that's not what I go for. That's not what I look for. And so it's not. I love it when people say, "Hey, I've actually I've taken the time to search out the way that I like your product
Yeah.
the best." Instead of saying I tasted it once, it was hot, I don't ever want to have to drink that again, I'm going back to my Basil Hayden. Or
Right.
whatever,
Yeah. Well, it's quality versus quantity, as I always say. And these little.
Do you always say that?
I always say it. I just
You
got done
always
saying
say
it.
that.
Yeah. I was murmuring it under my breath here while you were talking. Yeah, absolutely. And to me, that's education, right? People, they just assume they get a bottle, they're a mixer, or they drink it neat, or they put it in the rocks, whatever. But I think a lot of times that's the solution for people that, it's too hot. Okay, let's sweeten it. We'll put it in an old fashioned, and versus adding some water. So that's a little bit of education. I keep these bottles out every time I do a tasting, and a matter of fact, I went back to clear bottles because people were mistaking the smaller or the darker ones for bitters. They're like, "Oh, is that bitters? You put bitter?" And no, it's not. I'm not putting bitters in my whiskey. It's water. I explain it to them why, and then they'll do it, and then they learn. Okay, they put 1 drop in there. That's good. That opens it up a little bit. Put 2 drops in there. Changes it completely. And then, you find where you like it. And that's, I say that all the time too. Like, it's the right way to drink it is the way that you enjoy it.
Yeah, and like I remember it was a couple weeks ago or something like that. You said you had left a bottle in the car
microwave.
or something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And you came out and it was slightly warmer, and you were like, "Oh man, this is, if not as good, a little bit better at a warmer temperature." Which a lot of people they'll chill, they go the opposite direction, but
Right.
never
Yeah.
thought to do the other direction.
Yeah, just by chance. Pull up to a tasting, had bottles that had been sitting there for a couple hours in the car. They weren't hot. They were just a few degrees above room temperature. And so I'm like, telling people, sorry, really, apologize. It's probably a little warmer. And then I tasted it, and yeah, it was like, at least for that particular bottle, it was good. It was really, I've tried that with others just to kind of experiment a little bit. I did the same with eye drops the other day. I left some eye drops and they were warm, and they it was cool to put the eye drops in my eyes. I'm like, I'm gonna like warm up my eye drops a couple of degrees.
Well, if you're doing your Baileys and coffee, it's no different, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, it's like a brandy snifter,
Dixon's raising its glass.
so the Glens, right? They've got, you're holding it down here so you're not altering the temperature of the whiskey. But like a brandy snifter, I'll use one of those and, kind of elevate the temperature a little bit just to give it a try, or sit out in the sun and on the beach and drink whiskey without ice. I do that all the time. I wish I did. I think about it all the time.
The beach in Omaha.
Yeah.
There is an Omaha beach. It's just not in Nebraska. So you have a lot of stuff going on and perceivably more than, at one time at least, but it's cool to see your pipeline, and I don't know, I don't know that that's always going to be the case where, that pops up, as far as your entire roadmap, strategy, all your tricks up your sleeve, but it's good to know that your fan base is excited about it and that they can't wait. Now they're chomping at the bit. It's like Dixon Deadman Part 5, Part 6, Part 7. They're all in the works.
Well, I don't think this is. Yes, it's part. When the day comes, and I'm sure you get this question a lot, and I get this question nonstop, both in the consulting world that I still dabble and in, and doing these visits and talking to people. It's always about,
where do you get your haircut?
I don't. I have a Flowbee. But
sponsored by.
Everybody wants to talk about the state of American whiskey. Where is this going? As we say here, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a distillery that's being built or that's being planned or that's coming. And, what's the landscape? What does 5 years from now look like? Where are all these barrels going? What is, right. I get that a lot. And, I just talked to a group the other day. They tried to hire me to consult on a $50 million fund for speculative investment in the bourbon space. And I was kind of like, I'm not sure that you haven't, shown up to this party a little late. But, I guess where I'm going with this is that as long as people are still excited, as long as people are still looking out for what's next, as long as the coming whiskey page still has the following that it has, what that tells me is that that American whiskey, that bourbon, that this industry is still going very strong. And sure. The day when a new product is not news is kind of a sad day, will be a sad day for this industry, I guess.
Yeah. I think that point you made at the beginning of the recording about, the clear spirits, nobody's looking for that next watermelon flavored vodka. Nobody's right. On the edge of their seat, chocolate coconut vodka. It's just different. It's American whiskey it's a big deal. And, there's this really passionate community that, it's just getting bigger. And, with social media, you get to take pictures of your bottles and, put some cool music with them and, display some knives and guns and cats and all the things. It's just so random too. Bourbon and kitty cats, bourbon and polar bears. There's just so much out there. It's crazy.
I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
It's social media.
You spend too much time on social media.
I probably do. Well,
bourbon and polar bears. I'm gonna search that as soon as we.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm going down that rabbit hole.
Bourbon and rabbit holes. There you go. It's everybody's got a thing. They've got to have a niche. It used to be that sex sells. Now it's just random shit that people pair with their whiskey. Bourbon and furniture, bourbon and it's crazy. It's crazy.
Bourbon and bourbon, ladies and
Bourbon and
gentlemen.
bourbon. Yeah,
Bourbon and bourbon.
I like it.
Well, I'm not sure that we ever really hit on any one thing here, but good talk.
Great
Good
talk. Sure, we did. We hit on all the great things that 2XO is doing, and happy for you, man. Proud of.
No, that's same.
it's-
Likewise.
It's amazing.
It's a fun time. Fun time.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to make a huge announcement right now. In 2 years, you can expect the mired and blend of whatever
Yes.
label I
Yeah.
create.
All right. We'll I'm sure Jacob will put something out on Coming Whiskey, the Myerton blend. I love it.
I mean, I hate that the proverbial cat's out of the bag, but next, a year from now, we're launching the Myerton blend, and it's going to break the internet.
There you go.
I'm using sorghum as my main grain.
I like it.
Well, everybody, thank you for listening, watching another episode of Blending Bourbon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Till next time, cheers.
Cheers.